The night in Crestwood Heights was unnaturally quiet. The streets were damp from a late evening drizzle, and the soft flicker of broken streetlights painted ghostly halos on the cracked pavement. The neighborhood, once full of laughter, kids playing basketball, and dogs barking, now felt like a graveyard. Only the hum of power lines and the occasional flutter of a loose window shutter broke the silence. Sarah Keller clutched her backpack tightly as she walked down Maple Street. Her heart was pounding, not just from fear but exhaustion. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Not since the outbreak. Not since her best friend, Mia, had turned into one of them. The news had called it an unknown viral contagion. But everyone in the hood called it something simpler, the zombie plague. She passed by the burnt-down gas station where the first attack had happened. The memory flashed in her mind like lightning. Mia's eyes clouded with gray, her veins bulging, her teeth stained with blood as she lunged forward. Sarah had barely escaped that night, losing her phone, her friends, and her sense of safety. Now, Crestwood Heights was under quarantine. The military had pulled out last week, abandoning the area after the infection reached their ranks. Only a handful of survivors were left scattered in the shadows of broken homes. And among them, Sarah was one of the last. She reached an old convenience store and slipped inside quietly. The bell above the door had been removed long ago, replaced by a knife mark, a sign among survivors that this place had been looted. She found a half-empty water bottle, cracked open a can of beans, and sat by the window, watching the dead shuffle through the street. Their silhouettes moved slowly, almost rhythmically, as if the hood itself had become a nightmare caught on repeat. "Sarah," a voice whispered from the back of the store. She froze, clutching her makeshift weapon, a rusty wrench. From behind a shelf emerged Ethan, a young man in a torn hoodie, his face pale and bruised. He was one of the few people left she still trusted. They had met while escaping a military truck 3 nights ago. He was strong, quiet, and carried a strange determination, like he had a purpose beyond just surviving. "You shouldn't be out here," he said softly. "The South Side's crawling with them now. They're getting faster." Sarah frowned. "Faster? Zombies don't get faster. They rot." Ethan shook his head, eyes dark. "Not these. Whatever this virus is, it's changing them." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the street. Both of them ducked instinctively. The sound came from the direction of the community center, the last known safe house. Sarah's heart sank. "Come on," Ethan said, grabbing his flashlight. "If anyone's left, we need to help." They ran through the alleys, moving like shadows. The smell of decay filled the air, thick and sickly sweet. When they reached the center, the doors were broken, and the walls were splattered with blood. Dozens of bodies lay on the floor, some human, some not. At the far end, a woman was screaming. Sarah ran toward the sound, but froze when she saw what was happening. A young mother was trapped under a table, clutching her daughter. Around them were 3 zombies, mutated ones, their skin dark green, their eyes glowing faintly. They weren't like the others. They were stronger, quicker. Ethan charged forward, swinging a metal pipe with brutal force, crushing one of the creature's skulls. Sarah grabbed a fire extinguisher and slammed it into another's chest. The last one leaped at her, snarling, but Ethan tackled it to the ground and finished it off. The mother cried, trembling, thanking them through tears. Her daughter clung to Sarah's arm, whispering. They said help would come, but nobody came. Sarah swallowed hard. "We'll get you out." But deep down, she knew there was nowhere left to go. As dawn crept over the ruined neighborhood, Sarah and Ethan gathered supplies, escorting the mother and child toward the old subway entrance. Rumor had it that there was a tunnel leading outside the quarantine zone. But as they approached the stairway, they saw something that made their blood run cold. Hundreds of zombies gathered at the entrance, motionless, staring in the same direction, like they were waiting for something. "What the hell?" Ethan muttered. Then they saw him. A tall figure in a torn military uniform stepped forward. His skin was half-rotted, his jaw partially missing, but in his remaining eye flickered a faint awareness. He wasn't just a zombie. He was something in between. "Sarah," he rasped, his voice broken. She froze. That voice. That name. She knew it. "Captain Harris?" she whispered. He had been the officer who led the evacuation weeks ago, the man who had saved her from the first horde. Now he was one of them, yet not completely gone. The hood, It's spreading, he groaned. Don't let it out. Before she could respond, the horde erupted. Zombies screeched and lunged forward, a tidal wave of death. Ethan grabbed Sarah's arm, dragging her down into the subway as gunfire and screams echoed behind them. The mother and daughter followed, sobbing. They ran through the dark tunnels, flashlights flickering. The walls were covered with strange symbols, like someone had tried to write warnings in blood. They learn. They evolve. Suddenly, something grabbed Ethan's leg and pulled him down. He screamed, swinging wildly. A zombie burst from a hole in the wall, its face grotesque, its mouth stretching unnaturally wide. Sarah tried to help, but Ethan shouted, "Go! Save them!" Tears streamed down her face as she pulled the mother and child forward. Ethan's screams faded behind her. After what felt like hours, they reached a heavy steel door marked Exit, Service Tunnel. Sarah used all her strength to pry it open. Cold air hit her face. They had made it outside, but what she saw made her knees buckle. The entire city beyond the fence was burning. Helicopters crashed in the distance. The infection wasn't contained. It had spread beyond Crestwood Heights. The world was falling apart. The mother whispered, "Is there anywhere safe?" Sarah stared into the smoke-filled horizon. No, not anymore. Then from behind them a sound. A low growl. Sarah turned slowly. Ethan was standing there, his eyes clouded, his mouth twitching, blood dripping from his chin. He had turned. She raised her weapon, tears blurring her vision. "I'm sorry." The last sound in Crestwood Heights was the echo of a single swing, metal against bone, and the wind howling through a city that was no longer human. The hood had fallen, and the world was next.